Reading 93 from the Psychological Commentaries on the Teaching of Gurdjieff and Ouspensky by Dr. Maurice Nicoll, Volume 3. Great Amwell House, October 4th, 1947. Further note on eyes. Eyes and levels of being. Last time we spoke of different eyes in us and how we are not one person, but many different persons, and how, unless we realize this by direct self-observation, we can never begin to understand ourselves or other people. In this connection, we spoke of real I, which it is the aim of this work to reach, in place of having our center of gravity in imaginary I that is the source of so much misery and misunderstanding. Just figure to yourself two imaginary I's marrying each other. The dream man marries the dream woman, and so on. All this, of course, can lead nowhere, save in romantic novels, which, usually and wisely, end just when the imaginary hero marries the imaginary heroine. Obviously a difficult starting point, suggesting difficult situations in the future. It was also said last time that occasionally, even in ordinary mechanical life, we may experience a momentary trace of real I. As was said, this may happen in cases of extreme fatigue, as in war, when suddenly an access of force comes in, or in great danger, also in many strange ways that cannot be classified, but produce the same result. By contrast, the usual life of sleep that we are immersed in, when we identify with everything outside us and inside us, has an utterly different taste from those brief, calm but rare moments of touching real I, which in the work are called moments of awakening from sleep, or moments of self-remembering. The very undeniable difference in inner taste, in emotional quality, between our ordinary and these exceptional moments shows us that there is within us some other level of consciousness, some other center of gravity, and some other level of experience, and clearly a higher level that we do not customarily know. Now, in this work, as in all esoteric teaching, it is said that to reach a higher level of ourselves, to make contact with eyes that do not exist, so to speak, in the basement of the house of our being, efforts on oneself have to be made. We are told what efforts have to be made very clearly. For example, to take one line, we are told that a man must observe himself. He must observe that he is not one but many, that he must, by practical work, destroy the illusion that he has real I. He must get to know by observation some of his prominent eyes that hitherto he has mistaken for himself, and not identify with them. That is, not say I to them, because what in you say I to chains you to it. Once you say I to any thought or feeling, it has power over you. In hysteria, the victim identifies with every sensational and horrifying thought. There is no power of self-observation and separation. It is something like thinking that a snake in the grass is you, and so not being able to separate object from subject. There is a mystery here which goes very deep and cannot be entered into now, save to say that this work teaches that mankind is under a definite hypnotic force to keep it asleep and prevent it from waking up. I will give one hint of this from another esoteric source. It is said in Isaiah, "The Lord hath poured out upon you the spirit of deep sleep, and hath closed your eyes." Isaiah 19:10. And in the New Testament, "This people's heart is waxed gross, and their ears are dull of hearing, and their eyes they have closed, lest haply they should perceive with their eyes, and hear with their ears, and understand with their heart." Matthew 13:15. This work merely says that man is asleep and that we are born asleep into a world of sleeping people who are kept asleep and spend their time in killing one another. Now, the realization that we are many and not one, that the quality of our being is characterized by multiplicity instead of unity, belongs to a stage in the journey called awakening from sleep, which can end in a man being born again, that is, finding and becoming real I. What then undertakes this journey? Those eyes in a man which have the most understanding. We come then to the idea that our different eyes are not on the same level. Some eyes are very small in understanding, very mean, very poor, envious, and stupid. Some eyes are bigger, and so on. When a man begins to hear the work with both ears and to observe himself in accordance with its instructions, there gather around observing eye all eyes who wish to understand more. This collection of eyes is on a higher level than the eyes that deal with everyday life and its affairs. This collection of eyes that form round observing eye is called deputy steward, and if they are strong enough to persist and fight against all these negative and disbelieving eyes that attack them, a further stage is reached called steward. This is the herald of real eye, so we can put them in this way: observing eye, deputy steward, steward, real eye, in order of ascent. I said last time that one should try to observe and study the history of different eyes in ourselves. Some people undertake to write their biographies, but in their autobiographies they always take themselves as one eye moving through time. They should write instead the history of different eyes in them. Now, our most mechanical eyes live in small parts of centers, in the basement of oneself. They are usually quite unintelligent and have no understanding. They belong to the lowest level of our being. They take charge of us most of the day, speak through our mouths, and call themselves I. They are rigid, always saying the same things in the same way. Towards the end of life, it is often noticeable how the better and more understanding eyes in a person get disconnected, and there remain only the most petty and tiresome eyes. This is impossible to understand unless we realize that a person is not one eye, but many eyes, and that these eyes are on different levels, as on the wires on a telegraph pole. In this work, one should aim not to go always in company with negative, weak, vain, poor eyes, for they spoil everything and produce bad inner states. It is a common thing that while we have no power of making ourselves happy, we have considerable powers of separating from unhappy states, once we begin to understand what self-observation and non-identifying mean. But all this belongs to awakening from sleep. So perhaps it is not so curious in view of that goal.